Okay, paragraph 8, the last paragraph. I have paid no poll tax for 6 years. I was put into a jail once on this account for one night, and as I stood considering the walls of solid stone, there he is in my picture, looking at the walls of solid stone, 2 or 3 feet thick, the door of wood and iron a foot thick, and the iron grating which strained the light, I could not help being struck with the foolishness of that institution which treated me as if I were mere flesh and bones, blood and bones, to be locked up. So he says, yeah, they locked his body up. He says, it's kind of foolish, though, and here's why. I wondered that it should have concluded at length. I wondered that it should have concluded at length that this was the best use to put me to, and had never thought to avail itself of my services in some way. Okay, the government was not happy with him because of this. They didn't even try to make him do anything. So he's kind of like, well, this is useless. I saw that if there was a wall of stone between me and my townsmen, okay, there's his townsmen, the other people in town, there was a still more difficult one to climb or break through before they could get to be as free as I was. Okay, so he's saying, I'm free. This is another paradox. He's saying, I'm free, but I'm in prison. They're the ones surrounded by a stone wall. And because so he might be captive bodily, but his mind is free. He's saying his neighbors and everybody, they might be free physically, but their minds are captive. Okay, these old ideas are not following their conscience and stuff. They're the machines, right? So he says they've got a lot of walls to break down before they can free themselves of that. Well, the walls in your mind, I guess. I did not for a moment feel confined, and the walls seemed a great waste of stone and mortar. I felt as if I alone of all my townsmen had paid my tax. They plainly did not know how to treat me, but behaved like persons who were underbred. In every threat and in every compliment, there was a blunder. Oops. For they thought that my chief desire was to stand the other side of that stone wall. Because he just said, no matter what they said, they thought I wanted to be free. And so they just looked like idiots the way they talked to me. I could not but smile to see how industriously they locked the door on my meditations, his ideas, which followed them out again without let or hindrance. So he says they locked me in, but they couldn't lock my ideas in there. Okay. And they were really all that was dangerous. So his ideas, his meditations, that's what was dangerous. He was in there because of the way he was thinking, that he didn't have to pay his taxes to oppose the government. So they really couldn't do anything to him. That's what he's getting at. As they could not reach me, they had resolved to punish my body. Just as boys, if they cannot come at some person against whom they have a spite, will abuse his dog. I saw that the state was half-witted, that it was timid as a lone woman with her silver spoons, and that it did not know its friends from its foes. And I lost all my remaining respect for it and pitied it. So he just says, I just came to the conclusion that the government didn't know what to do with me. Okay, I'm trying to do something that actually helped the country out, and it doesn't acknowledge me as a friend. It just told like a lady holding on to her silver spoon so nobody will steal them. It's her last good thing here. Okay, instead of sharing them. It says they could punish my body, but they couldn't really punish me. Okay, they couldn't really punish me, my mind, my ideas. And so this is important. People like Martin Luther King Jr. took up this. He based a lot of the civil rights movement and things that he did in it on this essay right here, saying we got to be nonviolent, but we're going to resist, even if that means you go to jail. Okay, it's a bigger picture here. MLK spent a lot of time in jail. So he makes some pretty good conclusions here, and this is a lot longer. I shortened it a lot, but let's look at these questions and I'll kind of talk a little bit more. It says paragraph 8, why did Thoreau say that he was free even while in prison, but everyone else was locked behind walls of stone? And then number 16 is also paragraph 8. What did Thoreau see his imprisonment? Why did Thoreau see his imprisonment as useless? Okay, if you want to pause and do those two questions, pause now. And okay, now look at 17. What is civil disobedience? Sum it up in your own words the best you can. What's this idea of civil disobedience? It's why he didn't pay his taxes. Okay, I wrote a little definition up at the top of this. You can see it. It's even highlighted in yellow. I'm sure you read that when you read my instructions. Number 18, write at least 3 statements that summarize Thoreau's views on civil disobedience. Just put some bullet points in there. So I could do like this. Go down and, for example, I just put some examples in here. You don't have to use them, but I could think, okay, well, what did he say about the government? Well, the government isn't always right. The government can be abused. That's one reason you can do civil disobedience. You can look at it and say, if one person, he says, if one person will stand up for what's right, then it can create a movement. That's something else he did. That's a second point I could make, right? I could make a third point and say, just because the majority wants to do it doesn't make it right, and so sometimes you have to stand up. I could say something else and say, jail can't stop your ideas. Okay, you might have to. You still have to face the punishments, like Martin Luther King Jr. when they were doing their civil disobedience. He didn't try to escape the consequences. He went to jail if he needed to go to jail. But if it was illegal stuff, okay, it was. Of course, they had other problems that were the extra legal, the things that are outside the law, like when they were attacked by different people. But this is the idea that you've got to draw conclusions from this. What can you learn about how we interact with our government from this? Okay. Then I'm going to go down to number 19. What do you think of Thoreau's arguments in this essay? Respond in a paragraph. Paragraph. Does that mean like 1 or 2 sentences you copied off the internet? No, like an actual paragraph. Do a bunch of sentences, just respond to it. What do you think about it? Do you agree with him or not? You don't have to agree with him. It's okay. Do you think this could be dangerous thinking? Think about it that way. Do you think he was just racist against Mexico and that's what this all comes down to? If that's the case, that doesn't even make sense because then you'd be supporting the war. So just think it through. Just respond. It's not a big deal. Okay. If you have any questions, please email me and I'll be happy to tell you to do it on your own, or I'll help you if I'm feeling kind.